let's look at how the features in OT Wizard all work together. So for this student, Tomcat, I went ahead and I created a guided evaluation. Then I went to Report Wizard and I pulled I created abbreviated report medical model. So that means that it is more impairment language instead of strength based, which strength based would be more for schools or educational model. So next, I've decided, okay, yes, believe that he qualifies for OT. I'm going to create a plan of care. So what I do is I go over to the plan and I hit create plan of care. I pull his name up. I say, okay, I want this to be for a medical type of template because I'm not going to seeing him for his IEP. And then instead of manual, I'm going to choose from Report Wizard. And then you can see how the blue medical matches. So they have to match. You can't pull a plan of care for a educational type plan of care if the evaluation report was written in educational wording. So I will tell you what to do if you need to change that out. You basically just create a new report in the language that you need, and then you have it. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and choose this, and I'm going to make it so I can go back a little bit. This normally wouldn't be what you would do, but I'm going to show you how it helps you to look at your session. So I did it from the first, and then I added the 6 months. If I wanted to do a year, you can see how that changes it to a year. I go back to 6 months, and I go ahead and click generate from the report. Now, while we're waiting on that to generate, I could also create it manually, but that just means that I don't have an evaluation inside of OT Wizard to pull from. And I have to, add everything in manually. So here we go. So now it's created the plan of care. Now it pulls all this information from the back-end scoring directly from that guided evaluation. So it's going to go ahead and give you some suggested goals based on the baseline and what the student or the client did. You can go in and you can make changes to any of these by clicking this button. But for today, I'm going to keep them as they are, just so we can go through and look. You can see we have one for visual motor integration, fine motor skills, visual perceptual fine motor skills, in the current level of function, and we have everything we need here. If I need to make any changes, I can click edit here. Like for this one, I don't want this statement to be there, so I just go ahead and change that and save. Again, you can change anything you want. Billing and visits. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this, and I'm going to decide that I want to see him once a week for 2 units direct, and then it'll go ahead and tell me what that equals. Now, if you're on an educational plan of care, obviously you're going to look at it more in minutes and not in units, but this is here to work for both. It's automatically going to pull up that duration of your plan based on what you put in on that previous input, which is up here. So it's 25 weeks, but if you need to change that, you can do it by editing there. I can go in and also I may need that. For this one, I may need to update the diagnosis, and then I'm going to save. Okay. Once I have everything the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and activate that plan of care. Now I'm going to create a session. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, I'm going to go back to January, and I created an appointment for him. So when I click on it, you will see that I can add in anything I want over here. I can change the type. I can make it recur, which you would see that at the bottom. Up here, it says no plan of care linked, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it what I want. Up here, it's going to say the session count. So I have not completed any. I have none in progress. And progress means that you've created a scheduled appointment for them, but you haven't actually completed the note on it. So it'll also say here are the visits remaining and the units remaining. And then because you went ahead or because I linked the plan of care, you will see all of the goals that are linked to that plan of care. So if I click on any of these, I can also document on them. So you'll see it'll have the baseline. So this is pulled directly from the evaluation, the target, like the measurement is for this. It's going to be 70% accuracy. And we have the mastery rule. So how many times at 70% accuracy or better does he have to achieve this in order for us to say that this goal is mastered? And so it says 3 consecutive trials. If I have worked on this goal indirectly, then I can click this and you'll see some of the other areas grayed out. So that way you sort of get credit for working on the goal without having to put this in, especially if you have some prerequisite skill that you're working on. And so you don't really have the option to be able to add this in. But let's say that today that we did 5 different geometric shapes, and he got 3 of those correct. So it's automatically going to show me that that's 60%. I can also go in and I can say if any cues or assistance was needed. I can click in if he's had any goal specific challenges for this one. And I can also write anything specifically about this goal note. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of these things in so you can see what I did and then show you how I can use AI to generate the final note. Okay, I went in and I filled out my note. I went down here and added some information for each note that I thought that I needed. So like, for instance, on the visual memory, I said that I gave him prompts of, do you remember what you saw before? On the copying geometric shapes, I added that he became frustrated when his drawing didn't look the way he wanted. And I did for that one that the goal specific challenge was behavioral. I said that we worked on this one and I just said yes, but we had physical cues, which was the pencil grasp or pencil grip was used. I did a supportive environment and then where he was observed. And then for the notes, I just said Tom transitioned well to, and then I used the smart code shortcuts on here. So if you don't know where those are, they're on a separate note. So that way you can use shortened, like shorthand or whatever to make your notes go faster. So I said, use the handwriting without tears to demonstrate Map Man person drawing. And then that was an activity with good response. You can see it's sort of just, I didn't write like really good sentences. So when you use session notes, if you're going to use these smart codes, you have to use the AI. Otherwise, it's going to look like this. But when you use these, you don't have to use AI if you don't want to. But if you're not going to use AI, you need to make sure that what you write is what you intended and that it's grammatically correct, because that's what's going to show up in your session notes. But I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and do the wizard, my AI note, and show you what it shows up here. Okay, so when you use the AI, you'll see that every single time that you're going to have these headers, session summary, intervention, clinical assessment, and then the plan's always going to be continue the plan of care. You can add 2 things, but you always should review this to make sure it says what you intended. So you can see here where it pulled in some of the quotations that I used before, but then it filled in some other things that I had put in to make it into a nice structured notes. So once I review it, I will be able to update the session. I can mark it as complete, and then you can see now that it says one session completed. And you can see that I have 24 visits remaining, et cetera. And then I can go ahead and sign notes. So if I want to, I can also download the session note, which let's see if we can show you that. So there's a session note and it showed that I signed it, and that's how it'll look. Now I can also go into the therapy record and I can download multiple session notes if I need to, but anyhow, that's how you do one at a time. You can see the data that is here. Now, as I create more data, you will start to see that more information is going to be shown every time, because it's collecting goal performance indexes. So each goal will get its own score, but also each session gets its own score. You can see right here that the session performance index is a 64 out of 100. So basically, the system uses this session performance index to show a response to intervention. So, so that way it knows, are we making progress or not? Now, for Tomcat, I only have this one session, but I want to show you a different student where I had other sessions in. So you can see here on the therapy record for Han Solo, he has more sessions in. And so right here on the short-term goals, for you to see quickly, I can see, okay, this goal was discontinued. This one's active, but there's no data on it yet. This one is active, and it looks like he's trending, like making 20% accurate, 20% progress here. That's the session. This is the session performance index, and this is the goal performance index to kind of say where they are. So anyhow, you can also create different types of reports from Report Wizard to be able to show long-term goal progress, like if you need them for a summary, or if you need it for quarterly progress reports and things like that. That'll be on a different video. But I just wanted to show you today how your session notes will show up if you use them in OT Wizard, and how you can use all that information to be able to track student response to intervention.